This is the Work at Home Heroes podcast. Your host, Caitlin Pyle, digs deep with people from all over the world who make money from home. Get ready to wake up to a world of possibility for freedom, flexibility, and a life you'll love.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Work at Home Heroes podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin Pyle, and I'm here today with Katherine Pomerantz. Now, Katherine has been working at home as a bookkeeper. She's a money mentor for creative entrepreneurs. She helps people take the stress out of being a solopreneur and turn the stress into a strategic, money-savvy, you become a CEO of your own online empire. And she started her virtual accounting firm a year ago because too many business owners struggle with money, and it's her mission to demystify accounting and the jargon of big business so you can build a fun, fabulous business of your dreams. Welcome, Katherine.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So tell us about yourself. I know the audience is curious. What do you do? What kind of, we just introduced you as a small business accountant, but what does your life look like right now?
So I actually run a virtual accounting firm. So I work from home and I work with other people who work from home mostly because I work a lot with online business owners and people who are like bloggers and podcasters and life coaches and the people who really love that suitcase lifestyle. So that's my particular area of expertise, my particular niche. And working in that way means that we use a lot of apps and a lot of tech and everything is virtual. And it's fantastic because that means everybody gets business done and their money is safe and secure and taken care of no matter where they are on the go or how many projects they have running. So accounting is accounting, I guess, no matter what you do. I just happen to have found a pretty fun spin on it and I really enjoy it.
Wow, I can tell in your voice that you really enjoy it. How did you get into it?
I am a bit of a rogue accountant, I guess I should say. I don't actually have an accounting degree. I didn't get a business degree or a finance degree. I actually started as an actress and as a freelance artist.
Wow.
Which everyone always is like, wait, what? what? But when you do that, you're taught a lot about art and how to make things beautiful or how to present yourself well in my particular, because I did a lot of theater work and a lot of dance. But you're not taught to operate and act like you're a business, but you are. You're a freelancer. You are a CEO of your own brand, and you have to do all of the same things small businesses have to do. I was always kind of good at that part because I have some small business owners in my family. So without even realizing it, I was raised with a sort of awareness for how to operate like I was, my own sales team and how to talk about money and how to budget and how to plan for inconsistent income, all of those things that as a business owner, you really have to know how to do, but nobody trains you how to do it. And so I started out by just helping my friends. And eventually somebody was like, Katherine, you are so good at this, right? Because if you're not good with money, being good with money is basically magic. Right. To me, it was just kind of like, well, I've always had a bank account and a budget. That was just something my family did. And I was like, what do you mean? Come on, you could do this.
Yeah.
But they were like, you should do this as a business. So long story short, skip ahead a couple years. I had just gotten married and we had just moved to Oklahoma. And I love it here, but there's not a lot to do, frankly. No offense to Oklahoma or any of my Okies. But it's definitely still got a small town vibe. And I was looking for something to support my family better because my husband decided to go back and get his PhD. So he's now a full-time student. I'm like, okay, we should do something, support your dreams. And I was like, you know what? Everyone keeps telling me to start my own business. I'm going to do it. I started doing bookkeeping because that's pretty easy to get into. That's a pretty easy that's level one of the accounting industry, if you will. And I ended up getting so many happy clients and I ended up helping so many people that very, very quickly I had people asking me to do more. And in fact, I had two clients in the same week, completely unrelated to each other, but in the same week come to me and be like, well, we have a problem. Oh my gosh, I love problems. Can I solve it for you? What do you need? And they're like, we need an accountant. On my head, I'm like, perfect. I know so many people. I'll refer you. What specifically are you looking for? Blah, blah, blah. And they're all like, no. Our problem is we don't want anyone but you to touch our money ever again. Well, I'm not licensed, et cetera, et cetera. And they're like, oh, we can wait. It's not the end of the year yet. Okay. I'm doing that. And within a year of starting my own business, I had expanded it enough that I now offer full tax services And I'm well on my way to getting a lot of those really fancy credentials that other accountants have.
So let me just stop you because I want to talk about some of that. I want to unpack that a little bit. I love what you said about solving problems because that's a major theme on Work at Home Heroes, and all the stuff that I create is, hey, that's what business is. It's about helping people solve their problems, and then doing that, if you can flip the switch to solving other people's problems from solving your own problems kind of solve themselves naturally. And most people go into, I think that's the biggest mistake I see people make, is they go into making money thinking that that's their main problem, is I got to make money, right? Well, no, that's not how you make money. You make money by solving problems for other people and helping them make money. And so
exactly.
So I love what you had to say about that. And I can tell that you're passionate about it, and you're making money too. So what is your average income? It's part-time at the moment?
Yeah, I'm probably working on it full time, but we still have because I'm a year old and we're growing as much as you can. But yeah, it's still a part-time income. I think, oh heavens, right now I'm probably at about $2,500 a month.
Holy cow, that's amazing for just being a year old.
Yeah.
And just to give you an idea, people listening to this are just starting their journey. And so I wanted to interview you because you were about a year out of starting. And I want to show and demonstrate to the audience like what is possible in a year and how much can change in a year. So the fact that you went from not having $2,500 a month in income to a year later having $2,500 a month in income, that is incredible. So I just want to say congratulations for that. Now I have to ask you, was there a moment, we talked about how, your husband go to school to get his PhD, but was there a moment where you were just like determined and you said, this is no more, I'm going to work for myself, I'm going to make this happen? Or was it just kind of a gradual, was it a passion project, or was it just like, I got to do this, so I'm going to do it type thing?
Well, we had started in Oklahoma and we had been there about a year and a half. We knew we had to move regardless for him to start his degree program. And we had some savings, and I still did a lot of freelance artwork and I still performed. There just wasn't enough to support me full time doing that. And after a year and a half of looking for a job, we're coming up on the 2-year mark, and we're slowly eating away at our savings because we're not going into debt. That's a big thing for me, is I don't want to increase our debt. Being a money mentor, that's a really, a passion project of mine. And it really did become, because we'd moved to Oklahoma, had no friends, no connection. We literally just came here just so my husband could do this program, and it's great. But after a year and a half of that, it ate away so much at my sense of self, and the fact that no one would hire me. I'm like, I know how smart I am. I know how hard I work. I know how much I care about people. I'm just going to hire me. I know I'm a great employee. So I definitely did have that moment where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this. And it's actually funny. I recently was at an event and I met Kyle Taylor of the Penny Hoarder.
Yes, I know him.
I went up
friends.
I had to go up and thank him, because it was an affiliate link in one of his blog posts that was like, hey, start a bookkeeping business. And I'm like, yeah, okay, today's the day. We're doing it. And I did. So 1 year from that, it's amazing how much your life can change. As you said, it's been a ride. So
yeah,
I definitely had that moment of,
I know Kyle Taylor and I know Ben Robinson, just really good people. So let me. Yes, we're very good friends. I've actually stayed in Ben's house in Atlanta last December. So, let me ask you, Katherine, were you
serious?
Were you confident? Were you confident from the start of starting your business, or did you have any kind of mental or emotional obstacles that got in the way?
At the start, I didn't, and they all came later, because I actually had a bunch of people right when I was talking to friends or talking to the friends that I'd been helping. Because like I said, I've been helping with budgeting and stuff with just other artists I knew and other actors and designers. I had a bunch of people right from the start I will hire you. I'm like, great. Okay. After about 3 or 4 months, actually, I had started my own business, in quotes, officially, but I had zero to show for it. And that was when I sort of realized I needed to reevaluate how I was doing things. And last January, I took a big moment and some time to really just revamp and refocus. And almost immediately, I saw the results. That's something, as I really, really love Ben, and I'm still really active in his own community. And I actually lead a mastermind group of people, all alumni from his program. I'm still very much involved in the bookkeeping world, but Ben and I are very different personality-wise. And I eventually was like, the way that Ben presents himself is not how I can present myself, because he was an accountant for dentists and he's super professional, super, he's really personable, but he's got this very serious, not even serious, but very clean cut, I suppose is a good way to describe it. And I, coming from a creative background, am not that way. I think a dentist would laugh me out of their office if I was like, hey, I can do your taxes. Like, no, like lawyers, the classical bookkeeper clientele could never be my clients. Like, we just wouldn't get along. And so that took a lot of time to kind of figure out, actually. I realized about 3 months in, I was doing something wrong. And it took me probably about 2 months to realize where I needed to go with it. And it was definitely, Ben's program got me started because I started talking to business owners and giving out free consults and starting to get started. And from that, I learned, oh, these are my people. And that's how I ended up in the online entrepreneur realm. And it's been great. Like I said, I've had such massive success so quickly because it's the perfect fit.
Wow, it definitely sounds like it. And so let me ask you about your family and your friends. Was it weird for you to start working at home? Were they excited for you? Were some people skeptical at all?
I think my family was really, really supportive. It's very funny because a lot of people are like, oh, I quit my 9-to-5 corporate job to start a business, and everyone was freaking out. I went from being an actress to being an accountant, so I think my family is actually relieved.
I love it.
There's a lot more security in what I do now. I know it definitely impressed my in-laws more. No offense to my in-laws. I get along with them really well, but I definitely think they were like, oh, good. She actually has a job now. And so that's been really good. My husband, he's been ridiculously supportive of me and me doing this. Working from home has had its own challenges for sure. You definitely miss the office feel, and you have to kind of retrain yourself in a lot of just how to be productive and stay focused when you don't have a boss and you work and you play in the same space. And that definitely messes with your head. But yeah, no, my friends and family couldn't possibly be more supportive.
Well, it sounds like you've got a great group of friends, and you touched on something there that I want to highlight, and that was that you have the supportive community, and not everybody has that, but you knew that you wanted to make it happen, and you said that there's a lot more security, and that really lit me up because there's so many people that think that having a corporate job is more secure than learning skills and using skills to earn money. But the real security, I believe, is in your skills. And so I think that you really get that. So what does your typical morning routine look like now that you're the one in charge of your day?
Oh, I really love Hal Elrod's The Miracle Morning. It's a book and a Facebook group and a whole community and movement that he's built. It's been a great system for me. It kind of involves habit stacking. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but he kind of says, oh, you always want to exercise more and you want to meditate and do all these goal things. And he's like, just do all of them. Like, make it one big routine that you do in the morning and you wake up early for it, and it gets you like started on the right foot. And I totally subscribe to that system. It's great. I'm not his best student. I will confess. I don't do it every day. But that's something that I do. So I do a little bit of reading, a little bit of exercise, a little bit of like journaling and writing. And so I work with a vision board in the morning and do some like meditation and stretching and like prayer to finish it off. And then I sit down and I immediately, while I'm in a good headspace, just tackle the most important thing that I have to do that day.
Awesome.
It's great. If anyone's out there, like The Miracle Morning, look it up. It's wonderful.
Great. Well, we'll make sure that we link that in the show notes below the recording if you're on the website right now. So after that awesome routine, when you do it, and I totally understand not doing the same thing every day. I'm not a routine person, and I've not read Hal Elrod's book, but we know of each other and we participated in different launches and stuff together. But I totally respect people that just do what feels right. And so if they wake up and it's just, you don't really feel like you need it or don't want to do it, then don't do it. So after you do your routine or after you wake up, how do you keep yourself on track and focused on what you need to do for the whole day?
I have actually started working with a coach specifically for that. That was probably the hardest thing about working from home. And I never expected that. It was literally actually just working from home is really hard to kind of get into that good space where, if the house is messy, I see that. And then I just want to clean my house rather than work. And you can't do that. I've got clients I got to take care of. I've got stuff I got to do. I mean, that's not an option. And so I've started doing just planning out 90 days at a time. So I have like little mini years and focus just on like a one big project every 90 days while also doing client work. But I also work a lot with time blocking and I set a lot of timers. So I kind of divide my day into 1.5-hour chunks. And if I don't finish something in the next 1.5-hour chunk, I know it will fit in the, Tuesday's chunk or, Thursday's chunk. Because I've got like client chunks and I've got like marketing chunks and kind of just like break time chunks, I guess.
Wow.
I like to go out on lunch dates. So that's kind of how I keep myself organized and motivated. It really is. It's been really, really helpful because I definitely am a person. I like to focus on one task at a time and just knock it out. So if my to-do list gets too big, I feel very overwhelmed. So it's nice to be like, okay, I didn't finish that, but I have a project block free on Wednesday that I hadn't assigned yet. I'll finish it then. It just goes there. And that's been a really, like, discovering that system has been a lifesaver.
Well, I think it's an excellent system. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are just nodding their heads right now and be like, that's what I need. I need to block out my time. And not letting your to-do list get too long is really key too. I have a little bit of a system myself where I make a list, but then I pick 1 or 2 things from that list that's going to make that day a win. And I let that be a win. That way I don't feel like a failure if I didn't get to everything on my list. So it sounds like a very similar thing. I love working with timers, especially if there's something that I'm not motivated to do. I will set a timer and be like, okay, you can work on this for an hour. You can do this for an hour, I'll tell myself, especially if I'm avoiding it or just feeling uninspired, but I have to write something.
Yeah.
And then when the timer's up, then I allow myself to stop and I can go do the thing that I really want to do, whether that's watch TV or take a walk, do a workout, whatever it is. I allow myself to do that, especially if I'm having like a really off day. And I know that I'm not alone in having off days. We all have them. So, well, do you have any measures in place right now to make sure that your business is growing? Are you happy where you are? What's next for you?
I recently have started doing a lot of collaboration projects. My business has grown 100% by referral, which is great. I mean, beyond great, actually. And so I'm really focused on giving back to the different small business owners that have helped me out. And because I have a lot of, performance experience and public speaking experience, literally being an actress and being trained in film, I've been working a lot to do things like this and get on podcasts, but also just I'm developing a lot of joint webinars and I'm building a lot of trainings for other people's membership courses and just kind of like, here, you can have this because I would rather your audience have good, credible, free information that's interesting and easy to digest because money and taxes and business entities especially is just overwhelming, especially when people are starting out and for other people, entrepreneurs in particular. And that's why I love them. They're like me. They don't have that, we didn't go to business school. We didn't work this big corporate job. We're just doing this with like grit and passion. And it's us. We're going to make it happen. And a lot of times, if you don't have all that, like, experience or, all those big credentials to fall back on, you can feel intimidated, which I think is ridiculous. I think that is total, I probably shouldn't say that on your podcast. I was going to swear, but, insert your swear of choice because I agree with that. That is what that is. And I'm getting around that by helping people build good resources for other people. So a lot of just collaboration projects. And again, trying to build my own network and just talk to people more. I'm not really good at the whole social media thing. I'm much more like, oh my gosh, can I take you out for lunch? Tell me about your life. And that part of me has been really great in building really strong relationships with the people that I do work with. And that just pays back in dividends. That's my whole marketing strategy, if you will, is I literally just give out as much for free as I possibly can. Because if you're a do-it-yourselfer anyway, and a lot of entrepreneurs are, you're going to do it yourself regardless. You're not going to pay me to do it. If you're the entrepreneur that is stressed or busy or, you've grown too big, you can't do it yourself anymore, then you're going to call me and you still got good information and you know how to find me because we were talking. So That's my whole marketing plan.
Well, I think you're speaking my language. I think that it really resonates with me because I have this philosophy of what's called a ripple effect. And you mentioned that your entire business grew from referrals. And so what it looks like and sounds like to me is that you dove a mile deep into the lake and you created this huge ripple effect because you niched down and you weren't afraid to. And then it just kind of expanded from there all on its own. I think a big mistake I see people make in the work at home world, especially beginners, is they take a whole bunch of stuff and they just sprinkle it lightly on top of the lake. They do a little bit here, a little bit there, try to do a little bit of everything, try to get as many clients as possible. But no client ever ends up really happy because they're trying to spread themselves too thin, do too many things, and they don't invest deeply into their business. And you have a great philosophy on marketing. I call it the lost art of relationship building. I think that's also lost in the mindsets of a lot of people who are trying to start their own business. as they go into it thinking that it's about themselves. And so they just want to know, like, what are the tactics I can use to get clients? Like, how can I get people to pay me for stuff? And it's me. And I'm like, #barf, like, not into that crap. And so when I hear you talk about going out and building relationships with people, I'm like, yes, like this is what people on Work at Home Heroes who are listening and in my Facebook group and everything need to hear, is that you've got to go out and build relationships. So I'm really, really glad that you touched on that. And I can tell you are so full of passion. I want to know, other than the amazing advice that you've given the audience so far, is there any other advice you'd want to give someone who is wanting to work at home, listening to this and like, oh my gosh, like you have an amazing story going from actress to accounting firm owner in a year, but they're scared to get started even after hearing your story? What would you tell them?
I would definitely say that it is impossible to do business alone. That was my biggest mistake when I first started out, is I was afraid to approach people and talk to people and learn from people because I had nothing to give back, or I felt like a fraud, or, I wanted to wait until I had something to show for it. It sort of hit me that I was gaining clients accidentally. I like to say that I always get clients accidentally because, again, I just go out and I talk to people and I do a bunch of free stuff and I do really focus on that relationships. And that is what turned my business around, is realizing I found people that I enjoyed spending time with, that I was crazy passionate about what they were doing anyway. And I just found ways to help them. I mean, I love entrepreneurs and I love the fact that you're building your own freedom and the fact that you're going to do that. And because I work with bloggers or podcasters or people who are specifically going out and inspiring other people, I am so passionate about what they do that I am just like, yeah, give me all your stuff you hate to handle, the bookkeeping tax stuff. Like, I'll literally take it off your hands. I'm really good at it. You go do more of you. And everyone I know who's been really successful has found their own version of that, whether it's I'm going to build your website because it's awful and WordPress is, a huge learning curve, but I got it. You do you. And the more you help your friends and the more that you can kind of just like trade services, and don't be afraid to give away for free. And I know like everyone's like, oh, build your freebie and all that stuff. But I mean, like literally actually show up and give to other people's communities. If there's someone I really like want to work with or just want to like connect with, I make sure I go and buy their stuff and like devour their blog, devour their podcast, like learn everything I can about them and start interacting in their Facebook group before I ever approach them with an ask. I just want to make sure I know them and what they're about and make sure, one, that I agree with that. Like we would actually like get along. And then I'm like, okay, I love what you do. Here's exactly how I can help you do it better. And whether that's, oh my gosh, interview me as your tax expert on your podcast. Let me build a training for your private membership group, or just like, can we like just talk? Like, I feel like we have a lot in common. Like, can I just introduce myself? I mean, literally just things like that I think actually it was something on All Up in Your Lady Business is the first time I ever heard that All Up in Your Lady Business podcast. Jacqueline and Jessica, who are the hosts of that podcast, they were talking to each other. And they said that is like, as soon as I stopped trying to do business by myself, my business took off. And I think that's true. You can't do anything by yourself. So don't try. Ask for help, get involved, really, really just like you said, dig deep and just find something that you're really crazy into and make it as specific as possible. Mine is taxes. I actually kind of love taxes. I shouldn't say I love taxes. I love that I can do taxes for other people so they don't have to do it. That's what I love. And taking over that really big pain point is what really, spiraled me to super success. So that is what I think every new business owner needs to hear, is that don't wait until you've made it. You can't make it until somebody pulls you up. So just go out and find those people that you love and be a really crazy big giver. You have something worthwhile to give. You are a special person and you have a special gift. And even if you don't know what that is, the more you practice giving, you'll figure it out, because more people will thank you for doing that one particular thing. All of a sudden you'll have a business and you know what you're going to market. I think that sounds sort of woo-woo, but I swear that's worked.
No, it absolutely does work. And it is all about getting to know people. I mean, you've got to go out and you've got to ask them. You've got to provide value, see what they're struggling with. Maybe just ask them a question. I've got an article up on Influensive right now. It's called the universal truths of making money. And we talk about that as well. It's like the lost art of asking people questions, like ask them what they're struggling with. And we give people the challenge all the time of just going out on your Facebook page and asking people what they need help with. And nobody really thinks to do that, but that's exactly how you put out feelers. That's exactly how you get an idea of what people in your specific niche are struggling with, or just in your local network, what people are struggling with. Like I've had people say, hey, I've got some great feedback. I know what skill I want to focus on. I see a lot of people need help just organizing their filing cabinets or organizing their garage or something. And like, I can start there, especially, and sometimes you can't be picky, especially if the skills are a little bit lacking at this time. You can't be picky if people say, I need help organizing garage, and they live next door to you and you need money now. Are you going to sit there and be like, no, that's not really my thing? I mean, I understand if you're injured or something like that, then obviously you wouldn't want to be moving around boxes and stuff like that. But I mean, if you really need money and somebody has a problem and wants you to solve it and is willing to pay you for that, then, swallow your pride and, help people. It's really,
yes,
it's so much about just getting out and helping people, collaborating. And I always like to say that the future of business is collaboration, and the future is not later. The future is now. So Katherine, where can people reach you?
You can find me at bookkeepingartist.com. That's the name of my firm. I am also on Facebook at The Bookkeeping Artist. So in either of those places, I'm always online.
Excellent. Well, I thank you so much for your time. And I am very intrigued by your passion, and I'm very just inspired by the passion that you have for helping people. And I hope that comes through on this episode and that people are soaking it up like a sponge. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Caitlin. This was fun.
Well, thank you for listening. Links are in the show notes as usual. Please join our Work at Home Heroes Facebook community if you haven't already. And if you're finding value in this podcast, it would mean a ton to us at Work at Home Heroes if you'd leave us a review. Thanks again and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Work at Home Heroes podcast with Caitlin Pyle. Be sure to listen to previous episodes at caitlinpyle.co/podcast. While you're there, read the show notes and check out all the great links and resources mentioned in this episode and more. You can also subscribe to the Work at Home Heroes podcast so you'll automatically be notified when our next episode is available. Remember, as Caitlin says, mo skills means mo money.